The night of the collapse lingered in Emma's memory like a wound that refused to close. Even days later, she still heard the sirens in her dreams, saw the scaffolding crumble in flashes of lightning, felt the ache in her chest as she pushed through the crowd, terrified of what she might find. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Daniel standing there, drenched, covered in dust, his face carved with despair. He hadn't called. Not that night, not the next morning, not at all. Emma told herself it didn't matter. She had seen enough in his eyes to know the truth: he was drowning, and he wasn't going to let her in. But knowing didn't stop the ache, didn't stop the restless pacing in her room, the words she scribbled and tore up again and again. Her mother noticed, of course. "You're punishing yourself," she said one evening as Emma pushed food around her plate. Emma shook her head. "I'm just tired." Her mother's gaze was sharp, unyielding. "You're in love with him still. You never stopped. But love without trust is only pain." Emma flinched, because the words felt too true. Daniel, meanwhile, lived at the site. He barely slept, barely ate. He walked the ruins of the half-built structure like a ghost, overseeing repairs, arguing with engineers, trying to keep the project alive. But no blueprint could fix the cracks inside him. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw what could have happened: the workers crushed, lives lost. And though no one had died, though the collapse had been caught before it turned fatal, he carried the weight as though he had already buried the city himself. He wanted to call Emma. Wanted to explain, to tell her that the collapse wasn't just metal and stone, it was him, breaking again. But each time he reached for the phone, he froze. What could he say? That he had failed? That she had been right to doubt him? So he stayed silent. The silence lasted a week. Then Emma saw him by chance. She had gone to the library, hoping books could distract her restless mind, when she spotted him across the square. He looked older somehow, exhaustion carved into his features. He was speaking with an investor, his voice tight, his gestures sharp. Emma froze. Her instinct was to turn away, to protect herself from the storm she knew would come if she approached. But Daniel saw her first. Their eyes met. And just like that, silence broke. They sat together in a nearby cafe, though neither touched their drinks. Daniel's voice was low, rough. "You shouldn't have been there that night." Emma blinked. "I shouldn't." "Daniel, I thought you were." Her throat tightened. "Do you know what it felt like, seeing the wreckage and not knowing if you were alive?" His eyes softened, guilt flickering. "I know. I'm sorry." "Sorry isn't enough." Her hands trembled on the table. "You keep shutting me out. You carry everything alone, and then you wonder why I can't stay." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Because if I let you in, I risk breaking you too." Emma leaned forward, her voice fierce despite the tears burning her eyes. "Don't you get it? You're breaking me already. Every time you choose silence over truth, you shatter something inside me." The words landed like glass splintering across the floor. Daniel stared at her, his expression unreadable, and for a moment Emma thought he would walk away. Instead, he whispered, "I don't know how to let anyone in. Not even you." Emma's chest ached. "Then maybe we're already lost." They parted without resolution. Emma walked home under heavy clouds, her steps unsteady, her breath shallow. She wanted to scream, to cry, to demand that love be simple. But love was never simple, and theirs least of all. That night, she wrote until dawn, filling pages with words that blurred between fiction and confession. "Love is not a fortress, but he builds walls anyway. And I keep knocking until my hands bleed, wondering if he'll ever open the door." She didn't show Daniel the pages. She didn't know if she ever would. Days bled into nights. The city moved on, but Emma and Daniel remained suspended, caught in the aftermath of a collapse that was more than physical. One evening, Daniel showed up at her door. His eyes were tired, but determined. "I can't lose you again," he said without preamble. Emma's breath caught. "Then stop pushing me away." "I'm trying." His voice broke. "But I don't know how. All I've ever known is to hold everything until it crushes me." Tears welled in her eyes. "And what about me? What about us? Do you think I came back here just to watch you destroy yourself?" Daniel stepped closer, his hand trembling as it reached for hers. "Then teach me. Please. Don't give up on me." For a long moment, Emma stood frozen, her heart torn between fear and hope. Then, slowly, she let her fingers curl around his. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But it was something. A fragile thread of connection, pulled taut but unbroken. Later that night, as they sat together in silence, Emma leaned against his shoulder. Daniel exhaled, his body relaxing for the first time in weeks. The storm hadn't passed. The ruins still stood. But in that moment, Emma realized something: love wasn't about perfect trust, or flawless strength. It was about standing together in the wreckage, even when the walls threatened to collapse again.